Right, let me just get into it. Misfits MMA about Dillion, Danis, Warren Spencer. How? What? How? But I have no words. Now let me get this straight. This is a big, I mean, big jump from what Misfits were doing. Am I hyped? Yes. Am I concerned? Also, yes. Is it gonna be badass? Absolutely. But I have a few things that I want to break down before I give my overall final thoughts, my suggestions, and everything. First off, I just want to get down to the fighters, which is Dillion, Danis, Warren Spencer, and we'll start off with Dillion, Danis. Right, so Dillion Danis is a high-level jiu-jitsu grappler. He is studied under some of the best jiu-jitsu grapplers. Also, he's had 3 MMA fights in Bellator. Here's a clip of him. I don't know which side it's gonna be on, of him finishing someone in Bellator. Yeah. Also, the most credible thing he has is that he trained with Conor McGregor, helped him in UFC 209, Stockholm's finest, Nate Diaz. He helped him in the Khabib camp, and he's trained alongside with Conor McGregor, and I think that's a high thing and something that should not be overlooked. Because as much as Conor McGregor nowadays is a raging cokehead, back then he was the focus, and Dillion fought him and trained with him at his prime. Not to mention, he's trained with Alex Pereira, he's trained with Mighty Mouse, he's trained with so many people that he has experience. Sure, those training sessions might not be long, but again, he's a high-level grappler, and when it comes to striking versus grappling, grappling isn't the more dominant one we've seen. Unless you're Jorge Masvidal and Ben Askren, and we all know how that ended. But yeah, I genuinely think Dillion Danis has this in the bag, and yeah, and then the amount of potential Dillion Danis has in Misfits MMA, if it carries on, is so much, and I'm about to get into that. But let's now take a look at Warren Spencer, who's the next guy he's fighting, and I'm about to tell you, this guy has no chance with Dillion. Right, you might be wondering, why am I so hard on Warren Spencer? The thing is, Warren Spencer isn't to the high level that Dillion Danis trained with. Again, he trained with McGregor, who has a lethal left hand. He trained with Alex Pereira, and his hands are like bombshells. He's trained with Mighty Mouse, I think, or some other guy. I can't remember. He is trained with them. He's trained with high-level UFC fighters that can hit hard, that can grapple, can do all sorts of things that Dillion can't, which Warren Spencer can't. And that's about it. I don't see a single way Warren Spencer can win this fight. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to find a way, because I watch Warren Spencer's fights. They were entertaining, but they were entertaining at his level. The Nick Hammer fight, the Ben Williams fight, even though I think that got stopped early and the ref was completely wrong to stop that. If Warren Spencer did good, it's just, I think this is just a way to get Dillion's name in MMA, but I don't think this is what Misfits wants to do with Dillion. What I think is going to happen is that they're going to prop Dillion up, and I might be wrong. I'm just throwing a theory, to like make him the Misfits MMA star, if you know what I mean. So they're going to keep Misfits boxing, Misfits MMA separate, and right now Darren Till is the boxing side. He's the face of Misfits boxing right now, and they might prop Dillion up to be the Misfits MMA star. That's what I think. And if that is the case, then there's so much potential that can be done with this Misfits MMA thing that I think is really good. And I'm going to throw some ideas out there, but yeah, I think we have something on our hands. But I also have some concerns and worries, which I think are valid concerns and worries. But I do think throughout time, and as the fight draws closer, we'll find out what is what. Right, my ideas for this Misfits MMA thing is, if they're gonna do it, then have crossover fighters like ex UFC fighters or whatever, and don't match them against the influencers or whatever, or like the YouTubers, or like, yeah, those lot, keep them separate. And if you wanna mix them with the MMA fighters, they have to have some kind of pedigree or background in something, because if not, each MMA crossover fighter, it doesn't mean how old they are, they're gonna whip him up. Because MMA and boxing are two different sports. If a boxer went into an MMA ring, that ain't gonna work out well. Unless, like, I don't know, they're like some other level talent, because like you've trained in boxing for so long and then you're gonna go into MMA straight away. Yikes. And an MMA fighter can partially maybe box. They're like the few that outlier. I mean, Anderson Silva was able to do it, and Tony Ferguson out. I mean, Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz were good at it. But yeah, those are the things that I have. But speaking about that, they should try and get every UFC fighter that probably isn't a UFC contract and be like, yo, come here and fight for us. Then you can get money. But make sure they're okay. You don't want to get someone like Tony Ferguson. Or maybe you do. I mean, he was signed to fight Dylan Danis, which brings me on to my next thing. Potential fights we could see. Tony Ferguson versus Dylan Danis. Win, lose, draw. Whoever fights that Salt Pappy fight with Tony Ferguson. Win, lose, or draw. Tony Ferguson, if he wants to, which I don't think he should, but if he wants to, he could fight Dylan Danis. Another fight that I would think be interesting, it would be Darren Till versus Dylan Danis. Those two were chirping on Twitter or Instagram, being like, Dylan was like, "Oh, you went from UFC to Misfits, how shameful," went headlining and that. And Darren Till was like, "Yeah, say that one more time. Say that again. The headlining, I did this and that in the UFC. That is something that you'll never be able to do. That you have never done, and you've had to resort to this as well. Me and you are different levels, buddy, and but I don't think they're going to put Darren Till in the MMA ring right now. I think they're going to make him boxing star. Get that Tommy Fury fight. They're definitely going to do that. They're going to try and pull that one out. And then maybe put him in MMA. And that's if Darren Till wants to do it. Do I think he could whip Dylan Danis into shape? Absolutely. He would batter Dylan Danis in MMA, in my opinion. Like, pillar to post. I don't care about Dylan's grappling. Like, Darren Till has fought some mother effers in his UFC, and granted he didn't win them, but he gained experience. Those are some potential fights I could see. Nate Diaz versus Dylan Danis. I'm gonna throw that out, but I think Nate Diaz is signed to the PFL. I don't know if he's signed to the PFL. If he isn't, do that fight. Oh, absolutely, that would sell. Can you imagine Nate Diaz and Dylan Danis chirping at each other? That would be fucking hilarious. I would instantly pay for that. Another thing that I also feel is a bit worrying is if you're gonna have influencer MMA or crossover MMA, these crossovers that do social media, these influencers or YouTubers. I say YouTubers. I'm gonna stick to YouTubers. It's a bit dangerous. Sorry, I keep looking at it. It's a bit dangerous to put them in that ring because, I mean, the octagon. Because are they prepared? Like, how is it gonna go? I mean, we literally saw in Aiden Ross's MMA bout the Island Boys getting knocked clean out, which, as much as it was entertaining, it's also dangerous because the amount of safety precautions they had to go through, and still there were some things that went a bit wrong, not too much, but a few things. Granted, if anyone were gonna do it right, it would be Misfits, but at the same time, it's like, is it worth it? I think if they're gonna do Misfits MMA, make it so the fighters that you put in MMA have had several boxing fights, and they're only boxer v boxers in MMA, not Dylan Danis and Warrence Spencer. Warrence Spencer is a YouTuber who's fighting an MMA fighter. Again, let me reiterate: YouTuber versus MMA fighter or jiu-jitsu practitioner. You don't want that kind of fights because it's also detrimental to the YouTuber side. They signed up for boxing, and if they're gonna do MMA, I hope, and I know this is gonna sound crazy, I hope they paid well. I don't want to see UFC fighting pay. Also, are they gonna get healthcare like they do? I think they should structure it like the UFC in the sense that it should be structured a bit like that, but also how is it gonna go down? Are they gonna be wearing gear on here to protect it? Knee braces? All I want to see is some safety. If it's UFC fighter, ex MMA fighters, that works. But if it's YouTuber versus MMA fighter, flip me, someone could get hurt badly, and it's just something you don't want to see. So yeah, that's what I think. I think Misfits are gonna do it right. I hope they don't keep on mixing YouTubers and MMA fighters. I hope if they're going to make YouTubers fight, just make it YouTuber versus YouTuber, and just make it MMA fighter, or karate versus taekwondo. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there. Speaking of karate, Faye Sensei could be a shout in MMA. He's actually had an MMA fight, and those Faye Sensei would be a big, I think, draw. FaZe Clan, we all know. Well, he's Sensei now, but that would be a good draw and fight. So that's what I think. That's just a last minute shout I did there. But do I see the potential? Yes. Do I see risk? Yes. Do I think Misfits will do it right? Yes. But I think this is the one time they should mix at MMA versus a YouTuber, because Warren Spencer's gonna get fucked up. I know it sounds crazy, but I know I'm sounding crazy, but it's true. Warren Spencer isn't to the level of Dylan Danis's pedigree, in my opinion. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Click like and subscribe, or else your mother will be clicking like subscribe on me. Yeah, that came out wrong. I'm sorry.